This morning, the inspirational story of high school football coach Ed Thomas, who led his Iowa's team to 2 state titles. In May of 2008, a massive F5 tornado ripped through his town of Parkersburg. 7 people were killed, hundreds of homes were destroyed. The roof was ripped off the high school, the gym was demolished, and it was Coach Thomas who inspired that town to rebuild. But less than a year later, another tragedy struck.
Our people in our community are excited because for 2 hours tonight, fellas, something's going to be normal again.
It was a return to normalcy the town of Parkersburg was in desperate need of in September 2008.
We ready to go, boys?
Ready.
Leading the charge, beloved football coach Ed Thomas.
Where you from? All right, let's go.
But just 9 months after that night, a much more personal and stunning tragedy in town.
A man walked into the Parkersburg High School weight room and shot Thomas multiple times. Ed Thomas, age 58, died a short time later at a Waterloo hospital.
A troubled former player, Mark Becker, murdered Coach Thomas in front of 20 students.
We find the defendant guilty of murder.
Following a swift trial, Becker was convicted of murder and ordered to spend the rest of his life behind bars.
You know what you gotta do, let's go!
In 34 seasons, Coach Thomas had 292 victories, won 2 state championships, and sent 4 players to the NFL.
We're not trying to just teach you science and math and history and how to play the game of football. They're trying to in some way make a difference in your life. That's why I do what I do today.
He was more than a coach, he was an icon.
Ed Thomas was one of my heroes.
Remembered for his impact on his students and his community.
The reason I respected him so much is because what he did for all of his players, and that's teach them not only the game of football, but teach them the game of life.
The Thomas family recently co-wrote a book called The Sacred Acre, the Ed Thomas story. His wife Jan and son Aaron join us now, along with Mark Becker's parents, Dave and Joan. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
I know it's not easy, but we appreciate you joining us. You all watch this story again. You've certainly heard all this many more times than you ever want to. Jan, let me start with you. 2 years later now, when you watch him coach, still watching him inspire those kids, you still think about him?
Oh, I think about him every day.
Remember the great times?
Yes.
Aaron, 2 years later, you look at your father as a hero, an inspiration?
Oh, 100%. I think, nothing's changed. When I was in 3rd grade, I knew I wanted to go into education. I think the whole time growing up, I saw the impact Dad had on young people and knew that's what I wanted to do. And, so I went into the same profession as an athletic director and a coach now. And, now going back to AP, taking my father's job, it's, a chance for me every day to try to continue what he started and hopefully to carry forward what he was all about.
When did you decide you wanted to put this book out?
Well, I think for us it was more, we hadn't really thought about it, but people continued to come up and ask us, and people were interested in my dad's story and who he was. So at that point, I think we decided, some good could come out of this terrible event that's happened. If a guy in a town of 2,000 people in the middle of Iowa can have such an impact, maybe we can challenge other people to hopefully see how they're living their life, see who they could possibly influence.
This was a tragedy that in many cases would separate 2 families for life, and you'd never talk again. Mark's parents are here as well. What made you want to work on this book, work with them, bring this town together?
I shared this with my wife here. A few evenings ago, Coach was this humble man, just an incredible encourager, motivator. And I can remember in the practices back when I played for Coach, you were tired, you were thirsty. He could convince you there was victory. There was something good going to come out of this hard work. And so when I was asked to come along, I decided something good can come out of this story. And that's why it's not easy, but we're helping all we can.
This town came together, still comes together.
Absolutely.
What do you hope people take from this book and your story?
I would like to say that I think all of us could agree on this couch that with faith, all things are possible. And that even though you can go through a tragedy such as our families have gone through, you do not give up on God, and you do not quit working together to make it a better place and make it better for everyone.
It's an extraordinary story. We thank you all for joining us this morning. If you get a chance to look at this book, I would encourage everyone to do so. You all are, as we talk about that book a little bit here, is it something that you hope people, obviously not just in your town, but all across the country, end up looking at soon enough?
Yes, I would love people to realize how this humble man who walked the walk could influence kids, motivate kids to 100% of their abilities, and an incredible mentor of mine Coach was.
With the extra time we have here, I wanted to, how is Mark doing?
He's doing well. He's getting the medication and the counseling that he needs. They constantly monitor him to keep that medication level. It's an illness that will never leave our son. And it's a tough thing because it's a very serious illness they don't have a lot of answers for. But he has a quality of life.
Thank you all again very much.